see, unless there are so many superstitions in our mind about ideology, about philosophy, about this, that, Gandhi. We are allergic to Gandhi. We are allergic to other sections of our Communist Party. Yeah. But I always say, if a Lenin can have a pact with a Hitler, of all people with a Hitler, if Marx can take his ideas of all people from a Hegel, who was a monarchist and an idealist, why can't we take anything from Gandhi, or for that matter even from, you beheaded Ravi Tagore's head, who held Russian Revolution. He was one of the earliest persons in India who held Russian Revolution, but he was beheaded because he is Gandhi is beheaded. So this kind of thinking level also, we are so sectarian that we can't come together. And whatever, if we have come together, it is completely mechanical, and that is never helpful in the struggle. Mechanical unity is never helpful in the struggle.
One question is that right now we've been discussing the problem of sectarianism. We've been discussing the problem of sectarianism from a subjective point of view, from the perspective where people are looking at each other and trying to understand themselves. In another way, I don't call it subjective. In another way, the problem is also objective in the sense that the need to come together and how should we come together, that will come from an understanding of the conjuncture. Okay, this is a situation, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to work, and it needs us to come together. And right at the beginning, you have already sort of pointed that out. In which case, taking the subjective aspect of it, in the sense that our sort of inherent sectarianism, in the sense that we don't seem to accept the other. In any sort of dialogic way, we don't seem to be able to accept the other. That, together with some analysis of the objective conditions, do you think, or let's say, what do you think about it? In the sense that, how do you, it's an epistemological sort of dialogue that needs to be created on one level, and on another level, a dialogue in understanding this objective condition.
What should go simultaneously? But we have underestimated its epistemological aspect. That's why I gave stress. But that doesn't mean that we will be all talking mystified like mystics in only philosophical terms. For example, I take your word subjective and objective. If you try to think contextually, everything put in a context, you try to recognize it, then you cannot be subjective, you cannot be objective, it must be perspectival. From a particular vantage, from a particular perspective, you are trying to see things. So simultaneously, both of us can be correct, even though apparently you may be contradicting each other, because you are seeing the problem from one vantage, I am seeing from other. So only if we take that kind of thinking, then there can be some tolerance for each other.
That's the old dialectic. That is dialectics.
But was that kind? But you see, dialectics is from the days of Upanishad. Idealist dialectics from Upanishad to Kant, they also thinking dialectically. But what we found in materialist dialectics, as far as my understanding goes, at least on thesis, on feedback, I have read it between the lines. Although they talk of dialectics, they think that because in dialectics there cannot be either or. That kind of Aristotelian logic is invalid there. Both white and non-white can be simultaneously correct in a dialectical situation. Upanishad, for example, Isopanishad, which is the first Upanishad. There are 100 Upanishads, but the most important first Upanishad is Isopanishad. There it says, if you have understood only Vidya, you will be in the hell. If you understand only Avidya, you will be in the hell. Take Vidya and Avidya together. Sat and Asat. It has never eulogized the Sat. It says Sat and Asat. Take together and go beyond that. That means thesis and antithesis. Neither of them is acceptable for us. You take together and go beyond that to synthesis. You can go to synthesis only if you understand both. So only understanding Sat, only having Vidya is not sufficient. Clear, unequivocal terms it's explaining. this Upanishad. So that kind of dialectics was there, idealist dialectics from those days. So if we can develop tolerance for each other, only I was telling you a very one of my fond quotations from Vinoba. Vinoba is a very witty person. You may not believe in Vinoba, but if you want to talk to people, masses, you must learn how to talk to masses from Vinoba and Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Very complex ideas. They can put in such simple terms to these illiterate poor people, and that will be so heart-touching to them that they will accept it. Vinoba, in the tradition of our, in the past, all the formulas used to be put in mantras, small mantras, formulas, small formulas. So he has a book of formulas. He has defined. Vinoba says, what is the definition of Juddha? Na mama satyam Juddham. My truth is the only truth. From that kind of feeling, Juddha comes, fighting. So I think that no, I can tolerate you only if I think that you are looking at the same problem from another vantage and I am looking from another vantage. So your truth is neither objective nor subjective but perspectival. From my perspective it looks like something, from your perspective it looks like another thing. So let us have a dialogue, debate. But if I say this is the truth, it cannot be otherwise. One gentleman, he is now dead. He was almost a guru to us. Has a lot of sacrifice. He was he didn't belong to any CPI-ML group, but he was always a Maoist and Stalinist. He said, I am a diehard. In my hemoglobin you will find Stalin and Mao. Like that he used to talk. Jaldhar Nanda. He was a double MA in English and in some other subject. Way back in 30s, he was a main two subjects, and he did not send his students to any children to any school. One became a coolie, a porter in a bus stand. Another became a bus driver because he said, I don't believe in this kind of education, so I won't give this education to my children. In his last life, he became a great critic of Lenin. He has written against Lenin, that Lenin has murdered Marxism, like this. So anyway, when his way of putting things, you see, Mama Satyam Juddham, I have explained to you, and that is very relevant for sectarianism, solved sectarianism, so I am not digressing. One youth, like this, there was a youth conference. He was a chief guest, I was chief speaker. So he was talking to some school children and teachers, school teachers. He knew that school teachers here, they are hardly interested in Marxism, they may not have heard anything about Marx. This was his impression, which was more or less true. But how he talks to them, he addresses, you see. When he started his talking, took a Communist Manifesto from his pocket. He said, have you seen this book? Have you heard about this book? Not seen. Have you heard about this book? No, you have not. He answered before they answered. Have you heard about Marx and Engels? No, you don't know. Then he brought up some lines. This is what Marx says. Have you ever heard about it? No. Do you understand what I say? No. Man is, as I told you, very good person otherwise, but with such arrogance. Those of us, and it is more or less, it is in every Marxist here, you see.